Marcus felt a quiet strength growing inside him as the community slowly began to change. The new pool schedule helped, but he knew that the real challenge was winning hearts and minds. Sharon's anger hadn't disappeared. It was only quieter. For now, still saw her watching from afar, her eyes sharp and full of judgment. One afternoon, Marcus noticed a few neighbors gathering by the pool. Curious, he joined them. They were talking about the recent events, the 911 call, the meetings, and the struggle for fairness. Many shared stories about Sharon's behavior over the years. One neighbor, Mr. Thompson, said quietly, "She's been pushing people around for a long time. I didn't want to say anything before, but it's time for change." Another neighbor, Mrs. Lee, nodded. "It's sad to see a community divided. We all want peace, but that means treating everyone kindly." Encouraged by their words, Marcus decided to post a message in the neighborhood group. He shared the video he had recorded showing his kids swimming peacefully and Sharon's moments of confrontation. The post quickly gathered likes and supportive comments. Many people thanked Marcus for speaking out. News of the story even reached local reporters. One morning, a friendly journalist called Marcus and asked if they could visit to hear his side. Marcus agreed, hoping that telling the story would help others facing similar problems. The journalist came with a small camera crew. They filmed Marcus and his kids playing by the lake, and Marcus told them about the unfair treatment and the fight for respect. He spoke carefully, trying to show not just the problem, but also the hope for kindness and community. When the news story aired, Marcus received many messages from strangers. Some thanked him for standing up. Others shared their own stories about difficult neighbors or unfair treatment. Marcus felt proud that his family's experience could help others, but Sharon was not happy. After the story aired, she sent angry emails to the HOA board, calling the coverage unfair and damaging to the community. She demanded that Marcus be punished for causing trouble. The HOA board found itself in a difficult position. After reviewing the situation and hearing from many residents, they decided to take formal action. Sharon was given a strong warning. The board reminded everyone that the community must be respectful and fair to all residents. Sharon's influence began to fade. Fewer people invited her to social events, and she spent more time alone. Marcus still saw her occasionally, but now with less confidence and control. Meanwhile, Marcus found himself invited to join the HOA board. The other members wanted someone fair and kind to represent families like his. Marcus accepted the offer, feeling it was an important chance to help the neighborhood grow stronger. With Marcus on the board, changes started happening. New community events brought families together. The pool area was cleaned and improved. Rules were rewritten to protect everyone's rights and encourage respect. Jamal and Lily no longer felt afraid or unwelcome. They made new friends and played freely. Their smiles returned brighter than ever. One summer evening, Marcus sat by the lake with his kids. The sun was setting, painting the sky with warm colors. Jamal threw a small stone into the water, and Lily laughed as the ripples spread. Marcus felt a deep sense of peace. He thought about how hard the journey had been. From the day Sharon first showed her disapproval to the moment the community came together, it had been a test of patience and courage. But through it all, Marcus's family had stood strong. He looked at his children and said softly, "This is your home. You belong here." Lily hugged him tightly, and Jamal smiled wide. The neighborhood had learned a lesson about kindness and fairness, and Marcus knew that. Together, they could face whatever challenges came next. Would you like me to continue with part 5 now? Marcus never forgot the long journey his family had been through. The fight to belong and be accepted in a new neighborhood had tested him in ways he had never imagined. But now, standing on the other side, he felt a quiet joy. His children, Jamal and Lily, were happy, safe, free to enjoy the simple pleasures of summer by the lake and the pool. After becoming a member of the HOA board, Marcus worked hard to create a better community for everyone. He helped organize neighborhood events like barbecues and pool parties, where families could meet and share stories. He made sure that the rules were fair and clear, and that no one would ever feel left out or mistreated again. Marcus knew that Small actions could make a big difference. One day, Sharon came to a community event. She stayed at the edge, watching quietly. She did not smile or join in the laughter. Marcus approached her gently. "Sharon, I hope we can work together for the good of everyone here." Sharon looked away but nodded. "I suppose we must." Though things would never be perfect, the tension eased. Sharon's anger was replaced by a quiet acceptance. The community slowly healed. Jamal and Lily grew up surrounded by friends and neighbors who cared. They played games, swam, and learned about kindness and respect. Marcus often told them, "You taught me to be strong and to never give up." One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in orange and pink, Marcus sat by the lake with his children. The gentle waves touched the shore, and the air was cool and fresh. Jamal skipped stones while Lily told stories about her day. Marcus smiled, feeling proud of how far they had come. He thought about all the moments of doubt and fear, but also of courage and hope. He was grateful for the kindness of neighbors like Mrs. Davis and Mr. Thompson who had stood with them. He looked at Jamal and Lily and said, "No matter what, this is your home, and you deserve happiness and respect." Lily smiled and hugged him. Jamal nodded, his eyes bright with confidence. The story of Marcus and his family became a quiet legend in the neighborhood. It was a reminder that even when faced with unfairness and hardship, standing up for what is right can change lives. And as summer continued by the peaceful lake and the warm community pool, Marcus knew that his family's courage had helped build a better future not just for them, but for everyone. Would you like help turning this full 5-part outline into a complete story with even more detail? Marcus had always dreamed of living near water. After years of working 2 jobs and saving every penny, he finally bought a small but beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood beside a peaceful lake. The house came with access to a shared community pool. It was perfect for his 2 kids, Jamal, who was 11 and loved swimming like a little dolphin, Lily, who was 9 and full of giggles and energy. They had been living in a small apartment before, with no space to run or play. Now, with a lake nearby and a sparkling pool just a few steps away, it felt like a dream come true. Their first few weeks in the neighborhood were calm and quiet. Marcus went to work during the day and worked from home some days. The kids followed the rules and stayed out of trouble. They were polite, friendly, and excited to make friends. Every afternoon, after school, or after finishing their homework in summer, they would go to the pool together. Marcus made sure they followed all the community guidelines: no loud music, no food near the water, and no rough play. Other families also came to the pool sometimes, but most days it was quiet. But it didn't take long for Marcus to notice one neighbor who didn't smile like the others. Her name was Sharon, a woman in her early 50s, with neatly cut blonde hair and a clipboard always in her hands. Everyone else called her Karen behind her back, not for her real name, but because she always complained, gave orders, and acted like she owned the place. Sharon was on the HOA board, and she loved to remind everyone of it. She walked around the pool area like a lifeguard, even though she wasn't one. The first time she saw Marcus and his kids at the pool, she didn't say anything. She just stood near the fence, arms crossed, watching. The next day, she came a little closer and said, "Are you new here?" Marcus nodded politely and introduced himself. Sharon didn't smile. She looked at the kids and said, "Well, we like to keep this place peaceful. Make sure they're not too wild." Marcus smiled, trying to stay calm. "They're very well behaved. I'll make sure they follow the rules." But that wasn't enough for Sharon. In the following days, she started showing up more often. If Jamal splashed while swimming, she would frown. If Lily laughed too loudly, she would shake her head. One time Marcus heard her muttering, "This isn't a playground." She started writing on her clipboard every time the kids were in the water. One morning, while Marcus sat on a bench watching his kids swim, Sharon walked up and said something strange. "You know, my son Brady also uses this pool. He has certain needs. It might be better if your kids didn't use it so much." Marcus was confused. "I didn't know there was a schedule or time limit. Always check the rules." Sharon's face tightened. "There isn't, but it's about being considerate. Brady has sensory issues. He gets overwhelmed when there are too many people." Marcus had never seen Brady at the pool, not even once. But he didn't want to argue. Simply said, if there's a problem, I'm happy to talk to the HOA. Sharon didn't like that response. She turned and walked away without another word. After that, things got worse. Sharon started showing up every single time the kids were at the pool. She stood nearby with her arms crossed, sometimes even taking photos with her phone. She told Jamail not to swim too fast. She told Lily not to jump in. She even told Marcus that maybe his kids weren't used to neighborhood rules because they came from a different background. Marcus felt a deep pain in his chest at that comment. He knew what she meant, even if she didn't say it directly. Still, he kept calm for his kids. One day, Marcus was held up at work and asked Jamal and Lily to go ahead to the pool. It was just 2 doors down, and they were old enough to handle themselves for a little while. He would join them in 15 minutes. But that short time turned into a disaster. When he arrived, he saw his kids sitting on the edge of the pool, their towels wrapped tightly around them, their faces pale. A police car was parked just outside the gate. An officer was speaking to Sharon, who was pointing at the kids. Marcus rushed over, heart pounding. "What's going on?" he asked. The officer turned and explained, "We got a call about trespassing and possible disturbance. This lady said the children don't belong here." Marcus looked at Sharon in disbelief. "They're my children. We live here. We've lived here for months." The officer looked surprised. "Do you have ID and proof of residence?" Calmly handed over his ID and showed his community keycard. The officer sighed and nodded. "All right, sorry for the misunderstanding." Sharon stepped in again. But they were alone, splashing. "It's not safe, and my Brady deserves his. Space too. They're always here." The officer turned to her and said, "Ma'am, no laws were broken. They're allowed to be here. We'll be going now." After the police left, Marcus took his kids home. That night they were quiet. Jamal, usually full of jokes, didn't say much. Lily asked, "Are we in trouble, Daddy?" Marcus hugged them tightly. "No, baby, you did nothing wrong." He sat alone later that night thinking something had to change. This wasn't just about the pool anymore. It was about being treated fairly. He had worked hard for this home, for this peace. He wouldn't let anyone take that away from his children. That night, he decided to start recording everything. Every encounter, every word, and he would not stay silent any longer. Would you like me to continue with part 2 now? Marcus woke up the next morning feeling tired, but determined. The night before, after the police had left, his mind was full of questions. How could someone call the police on his own children when they were doing nothing wrong? It hurt him deeply. To see his kids scared and sad, as if they had done something bad, he knew he had to protect them and make sure no one treated them unfairly again. After breakfast, Marcus took his laptop to the small table near the window. The sun was shining bright over the lake, and the calm water looked peaceful. He wanted that peace for his family, too. He started writing an email to the HOA board, told them about what had happened with Sharon and the police. He explained how his kids were only swimming quietly, following all the rules, but still faced unfair treatment. Marcus asked for a meeting with the HOA to discuss the problem. He wanted them to know what was happening and hoped they would help. While Marcus waited for a reply, his kids wanted to go to the pool again. Jamal said, "Dad, I want to swim like I used to, without worrying." Lily nodded. "I want to play and laugh. I miss it." Marcus smiled and said, "Okay, let's go. But this time, I'm going with you." At the pool, the scene was tense. Sharon was already there, standing near the gate, watching carefully. When she saw Marcus and the kids, her eyes narrowed. Marcus ignored her and let Jamal and Lily go into the water. They splashed gently, trying to have fun but still feeling the heavy eyes on them. Sharon came closer and spoke loudly enough for others to hear. "This pool is not a playground for newcomers. Maybe your kids should learn some manners." Some neighbors nearby glanced nervously but stayed quiet. Marcus felt anger rising inside, but kept calm. "We followed the rules," he said softly. "My kids only want to enjoy the pool like everyone else." Sharon shook her head. "Your kids are loud and disruptive. Brady needs a peaceful place to swim, and I won't let him be disturbed." Marcus looked around and asked, "Can you show me where it says that anyone gets special treatment, or that your son has more rights here?" Sharon didn't answer. Instead, she crossed her arms and stared. After a moment, she turned and walked away, muttering under her breath. Days after this grew harder. Sharon began to arrive at the pool before Marcus and the kids. She stood, watching them carefully, and sometimes called out rules in a strict voice. Jamal tried to explain that they were not breaking any rules, but Sharon didn't listen. One afternoon, Lily accidentally dropped her goggles into the water. When she tried to reach for them, Sharon said, "Stop splashing around. You're making it hard for others to swim." Jamal quickly helped Lily, but both children felt upset. They whispered to each other, "Why does she hate us so much?" Marcus saw the sadness in their eyes and wanted to do something, but he wasn't sure what. Marcus decided to speak with some neighbors. He hoped to find people who would support him. He walked to a few houses and knocked on doors. Most people were polite, but said they didn't want to get involved. Some were afraid of Sharon because she was on the HOA board and seemed powerful. However, a woman named Mrs. Davis, who lived a few houses down, invited Marcus inside. She was an elderly lady with kind eyes. "I've seen what's happening," she said softly. "Sharon has been like this for years. She thinks she can control everything." "You're right. Everyone deserves to enjoy the pool." Mrs. Davis told Marcus stories about how Sharon had caused problems before, she said. Sharon once tried to stop another family from using the pool because she didn't like their skin color. The family had moved away after the fights. Mrs. Davis warned Marcus to be careful, but said he wasn't alone. Encouraged by Mrs. Davis, Marcus felt stronger. He went back home and started to film the visits to the pool on his phone. He wanted to have proof of what was happening. One day, Sharon came close and asked, "Why are you filming me?" Marcus replied, "I want to keep a record of everything." "To protect my family?" Sharon frowned and walked away. The filming helped Marcus feel less powerless. He saw the truth clearly and knew he could show it to others if needed. Then, one afternoon, the biggest problem happened. Jamal and Lily were at the pool, swimming and laughing. Marcus was working nearby, watching from the porch. Suddenly, a loud voice called out, "You kids need to leave. This is not your place." Marcus recognized Sharon's voice. He put down his laptop and walked to the pool quickly. To his shock, he saw a police car pulling up. 2 officers stepped out. Sharon told them, "These children are trespassing and disturbing the peace. They don't belong here." The officers asked Marcus for proof that he lived in the neighborhood. He showed his ID and the house keys. The officers apologized but said they had to respond to the call. Kids looked scared. Jamal whispered, "Dad, why did she do this?" Lily hid behind Marcus's leg. Marcus felt a mix of anger and sadness. How could someone treat his family like this? The police left, but the damage was done. That evening, Marcus shared the video he had taken of Sharon's behavior with his close friends and family. He also posted some clips on social media, hoping to raise awareness. The responses were mixed. Many people sent messages of support. Some shared stories of similar experiences with neighbors who acted unfairly. Others warned Marcus to be careful, saying Sharon was known for causing trouble. Marcus realized this was bigger than just a pool. It was about respect, fairness, and standing up against unfair treatment. He promised himself he would not let Sharon's actions hurt his children or family any longer. He reached out again to the HOA board, demanding a formal meeting. This time he was ready to fight for his family and the community he wanted to call home. Would you like me to continue with part 3 now? Marcus felt a mix of hope and nervousness as the day of the HOA meeting arrived. He knew it would not be easy to face Sharon and the other board members, but he was ready to speak up for his kids and for fairness. Before leaving, he reminded Jamal and Lily to stay positive. They needed to see their father strong and calm. At the community hall, a small crowd had gathered. Some neighbors watched quietly, while a few whispered about the recent trouble at the pool. Sharon was there too, sitting stiffly at the front, clipboard in hand, her eyes fixed on Marcus as he entered. Marcus took a deep breath and found a seat. The meeting started with the HOA president speaking about regular neighborhood business. Then, the president said, "Now, we will discuss the recent complaint about pool usage and behavior." Marcus stood up, feeling all eyes on him. He spoke clearly. My children have always followed the pool rules. They have never caused problems. I believe the complaint made by Sharon was unfair and hurtful. My kids should be able to enjoy the pool like everyone else. He showed the video he had taken, where Sharon could be seen watching the kids and making the 911 call. The room fell silent. Some neighbors nodded, others looked uncomfortable. Sharon stood up, her voice cold but steady. My son Brady has special needs. The noise and crowd upset him. I was only trying to protect his well-being, Marcus responded. Gently, I understand that your son has needs, but that does not mean my children should be excluded or treated badly. The pool is for all families. We must find a way to respect everyone. A few neighbors spoke up. Mrs. Davis, the elderly woman who had supported Marcus, said this community should be about kindness and respect, not control and exclusion. Another neighbor said quietly, I have seen Sharon act this way before. It's not right. The president of the HOA looked serious. Thank you for your honesty. We'll look into these concerns and try to find a fair solution. Marcus left the meeting feeling hopeful, but unsure what would happen next. Over the next few days, word of the meeting spread. Some neighbors started talking openly about how Sharon had made life difficult for many families. Others reached out to Marcus, offering friendship and support. Jamal and Lily began to smile more, feeling less alone. But Sharon did not give up. She started posting messages in the neighborhood group chat, saying she was being unfairly attacked and that she only wanted a peaceful pool area. Some neighbors agreed with her, but many ignored the messages. Marcus continued filming their visits to the pool. One afternoon, as the kids were swimming, a few children from other families joined them. They laughed and played, and for the first time in a while, the pool felt warm and welcoming. Sharon watched from a distance, but did not approach. Thought maybe the meeting had made her think twice. However, one evening, Sharon sent a message to the HOA board, accusing Marcus of disturbing the peace by having too many children at the pool. She claimed it was too noisy and against the rules. The board said they would review the complaint. Marcus felt frustrated. It seemed Sharon was using the rules to try to push his family out. He decided to talk with a community person who helped solve problems peacefully. The mediator listened carefully to both Marcus and Sharon. Marcus explained how his family wanted to be part of the neighborhood and how unfair the treatment felt. Sharon spoke about her son's needs and her worries about noise. The mediator suggested a compromise. Specific pool hours reserved for quiet swimming for people like Brady, and other hours for families to enjoy and play freely. Everyone would respect the schedule. Marcus agreed and shared the idea with his kids, who liked it because they could swim without feeling watched all the time. Sharon also seemed to accept the plan, though her smiles were rare. Soon, the HOA officially announced the new pool schedule. Quiet hours were set in the early mornings, and family hours in the afternoons and weekends. Marcus's kids started swimming happily during family hours. More children came to join, and the pool was filled with laughter. Neighbors greeted each other warmly, and the community began to heal. Marcus knew the fight was not over, but he had made progress. His family belonged here, and they had stood up for what was right. One afternoon, as Jamal and Lily played by the lake, Marcus watched from a bench. He felt proud of their courage and hopeful for the future. Would you like me to continue with part 4 now?